going where the silence is. The QUO Podcast. Welcome to the QUO Podcast. I'm Sasha Jurac. As adult content continues to make waves on the web, an abundance of services and content aggregators offer erotic content freely. With one click, it's easier than ever for the casual viewer to watch what they want, when they want. But with the adult industry taking a massive hit, it's more important than ever to support the safety and creative freedom of people who are already marginalised by the work that they do. In this episode, I'm joined by the Jellyfield Girls on why paying for adult content is better for both the people making it and the people watching it. Hey ladies, how are you?
Hi. We're good. How are you?
Doing splendidly. We were just having a lovely chat before, but I guess for people who don't know about you, can you just tell us a little bit more about who you are and what you do and why you do it?
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. So, well, my name is Sasha, and this is my beautiful fiance, Alessia. Like how I threw that in there.
Yeah, I like it.
So we have a purpose where we like to continue making a point that ethical, realistic, and authentically loving women love women adult content is much more enjoyable and ethical to consume than, you know, your typical big mainstream porn productions that involve too often straight actresses or actors playing a role. So in our case, we're actually a real couple. We're engaged and we're in love, and we're sharing our real life intimacy on camera. And we're hoping that people will realize the value and the relatability and the empowerment in watching something that is created, produced, and directed by two real queer women, as opposed to a typical porn production that is more often than not, I would say, obviously made for male audiences and put together by men. Of course, that's not always the case, but, you know, more often than not, that's the reality, you know. And very often those kinds of scripted scenarios are quite unrealistic and not really representative of the reality of queer couples like us. I think that people nowadays are just looking for relatability and representation, and this is why we do what we do and why we've grown to be, you know, quite successful from it. Yeah.
Why more than ever is queer representation, particularly for queer women, important in your industry?
I don't think it's been done before.
Yeah.
It was attempted. It was directed by men, and it just was not real. And people were having they weren't understanding themselves, you know, watching that. They were like, is this the way I'm supposed to be? Or, you know, it just wasn't getting the right messages across. And so that's what we're here for.
Yeah. And a lot of people would message us until today being like, thank you so much for representing me in your content, because this is how I make love with my partner, you know, like this is what it actually looks like. Thank you. I feel represented. I feel seen. I feel heard. And thank you for not having 5-inch nails, you know, and just, you know, heels and lipstick and this and that. And just thank you for just being natural and real and showing the beauty behind a real queer relationship and the beauty behind queer intimacy as well.
A lot of people might look at you at face value and have this preconception that, because you both look quite feminine, right? What sort of, I guess, obstacles do you encounter in that regard? And how is your content actually breaking down the stereotypes of, you know, say, masculine and feminine queer women in our community?
It's interesting because there's like so many aspects to that question. Like, it's typical, people typically or stereotypically think that a lesbian relationship or a women love women relationship or a queer relationship is a butchy woman and a feminine woman. because, you know, there's the masculine, there's the feminine, and they always go hand in hand, but it's not true. They don't always go hand in hand, you know, and the reality is that there are feminine, you know, women love women couples out there just like us who also need representation.
There's all kinds of different types of relationships out there, and maybe sometimes we both look very feminine in our videos because we're just wearing thongs and bras, but like, you know, we also wear clothes too, and sometimes we wear sweatpants and wife beaters, and you know,
and we wear them in our videos too.
Yeah,
we're not always in thongs and G-strings.
Yeah, we're not always super feminine either. We're very versatile, and but
we have videos where we show like us in lingerie looking more sexy, which is true, because off camera we enjoy doing that for one another sometimes to spice things up or whatnot. But then there's also videos where our hair is a mess. We just got out of the shower, our hair is still wet, and we're wearing sweatpants and a tube top, and it's just like, because that's also real, and that's also how sometimes, you know, things go down. And so we're just trying to portray like our relationship as authentically as we can as two feminine women. And, you know, the person on the receiving end will feel it if they know it's true and they feel represented. They will feel the authenticity behind our content.
How long have you been around for?
We're going on our 3rd year now, so we've been around since 2019.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I guess along the way, like I've seen on your, like even your Instagram and even Pornhub, you know, you've just been growing exponentially since then. But like where and how large is your audience?
It's pretty spread out because we're on multiple platforms now, and some of them are ranging in like view counts or follower counts or subscriber counts, and so it's hard to give an actual answer because some of that is like private, like you don't see subscriber count on OnlyFans, but on Pornhub, for example, you see that we have 55 million views, over 61,000 subscribers, and on Instagram we have a private account, so we've handpicked, like accepted everyone over time, and we're at like 25,000 now.
Wow.
We're about to hit that, I think. And
25,000 people that we've like manually filtered through and accepted, just to try and make sure that we like don't let the crazies in
but we are like bots and things like that. But we have also other platforms, like we have Fansly and loyal fans too, so I think in total we have a decent amount all around, but we're not focusing so much on our free platform as much anymore, not trying to grow a lot of views on there. So if we were, then it probably would have been much higher by now, but we're just focusing on more paywalls.
We have known each other. I can't believe we've known each other for quite some time now.
Yes, we have.
It's been a journey.
It has been. It's been a pleasure too.
Likewise. And you know, I just remember when I first interviewed you, this was around this was last year already, wasn't it? It was like last April, I think. And I just remember when I had come across you guys on Pornhub, and reading through the comments from your fans was just unlike anything I have ever seen. You know, it was just such a nice change, you know, to see that.
A breath of fresh air there, right?
Yeah, and so unlikely to like such a pleasant surprise to come across that on a website like that too. You don't expect it.
Tell us a little bit more about your fan base and the community that you've created along the way.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we have a very, very special fan base, as you know.
They're amazing.
Our fan base, I think we would say, is largely made up of women, actually. Both heterosexual and queer. We're known to be very community centered in the sense that we do many things and many activities that bring people and our fans together. So like, I'll give you an example, like in the beginning of the pandemic, we would do quite a bit of video game streaming, which allowed people from all over the world to come together and live chat with one another and with us as well. So that was really fun. And people made like lifelong friendships and romances through platforms like that. So
really?
it was, it's great. Like we have fans like booking flights and tickets and stuff to meet each other, and
Yeah.
like flying to see one another, and chatting every day, and like relationships forming. We even have a few people getting married because like through our event. Like it's just incredible. It's incredible the way that people have been connected through this, and it's so beautiful because it's so unlikely. Like you would never think that in following your favorite adult content creator, you meet the love of your life. Like it's just beautiful in that sense.
It's amazing that you have created this community because, I mean, in many places around the world, there are still many countries where there aren't as many safe spaces for queer women, let alone any queer people to actually connect. So it's just, I can see why.
God,
online.
Yeah.
Oh, it's incredible. Like we've had people tell us that like we've saved them from committing suicide because they had no one to talk to. They're living in like super conservative countries and like they have very homophobic family members and very homophobic surroundings. And it's just like in connecting people like that online, especially in the pandemic where like a lot of people found themselves like alone because of the lockdowns and whatnot. Like we've like helped people come out of like depression, and like the way that we connected them to other people that like were living the similar situations, and they were able to like relate to one another and uplift each other and whatnot. And it's just really, really beautiful. It's really beautiful. And especially it kind of happened at like the perfect timing, like where we started live video game streaming during the pandemic, and I think a lot of people really needed it. So it was just really, really nice.
Yeah.
But also I think the fact that people could see our true nature during those live streams and how we interact with one another as a couple and how we goof around with one another and stuff like that. Like it made them see us in a very different light than just adult content creators. Like they got to see the depth of us as human beings, like they get to see that we're real people with real feelings. And we would often share with them like how our day went and like struggles that we're having, or just so many things that just make us people just like them. And being able to show and share our humanity with our fans, I think it really reinforced the relatability aspect to what we do, which in turn, of course, reinforced their loyalty to us. And so it's been really unexpectedly beautiful.
Yeah. For everyone.
Yeah.
And it's just showing, the multifaceted dimensions of an authentic relationship, as opposed to it's not just all about the sex. So, I mean, the live streaming has added that extra dimension to.
Most definitely. And people always tell us like, if like Jellyfield Girls, if like like people know that we're not like, it's so much more than just adult content. It's so much more than just sex, it goes so much deeper than that.
Looking at the way in which we consume content now, we're conditioned to think that it is us as the consumers, that it's our, let's say, God-given right, that it's free. And it sort of taps into this whole thing around, how they say the best things in life are free. Why do we need to pay for pleasure? Because pleasure is arguably something that comes to us for free.
Well, that's a very valid question. I have quite a bit to say about that, but like basically, if ethically speaking, if you're someone that actually cares for the creators or the performers that you enjoy watching regularly, paying for that creator's content goes a really long way in their overall well-being, and especially women creators. It goes without saying, when you pay for a creator's content, you're allowing that person to actually make a decent living. They can pay for their bills and get their hard work's worth. And yes, it is absolutely hard work. It's absolutely hard work. We don't just, people are like, oh, how hard is it? You just have sex on camera and you share it. No. Like this, it's so much deeper than that. It's so much more than that. It's a lot of hard work. It's more than a full-time job. Trust me. And the reality is that being on free platforms doesn't make you much money. Like, let's be real, only a select few websites actually pay the creators or the people that upload content, and it usually depends on the amount of views that they have. And we can confirm that it's actually not that much.
Yeah.
It's not that much.
This is something that people don't know,
Yeah,
like that.
no, people get, for sure. Like I was just about to say, people get fooled by the amount of like views or popularity that someone can have or be as a performer on these websites. But like, let's say you see like 1 million views, like someone on their profile has 1 million views. It doesn't mean that they're making $1 million. It's far from that, actually. So like paying the creator to access their content, you're actually allowing them more control over their content and over their own copyrights. You're allowing them more control over their income, over their autonomy, their freedom, and especially like their personal safety and much more. But, like, we want to emphasize that being behind a paywall as a woman, like, prevents a whole lot of safety concerns, and that's including but not limited to harassment, bullying, like cyber stalking and all that fun stuff. So it's really it really does add an extra solid layer of security and safety for women.
It also like
creators.
Helps prevent never-ending content theft, which is a huge problem and headache for creators on free websites.
Oh my gosh.
On top of that, being on free websites is also a headache for the viewers too. And we've spoken about this before with you, where, when you're cruising through websites and you're constantly getting bombarded with disgusting or demeaning sex advertisements, and your computer gets flooded with viruses and you get spammed with content that you don't want to see, like on the sides,
I would literally block it out with my hand, like
or you gotta like do the zoom in or something, or full screen it, because like my profile is set up as queer, and the algorithm knows that, and I only watch queer content, but I'm constantly getting straight ads of men dominating women and degrading them on the sides or underneath, or that's the next video that comes up, and it's like sex. Just really weird stuff, like as if they're trying to curve my appetite, and it just pisses me off. Like, do they think that if they blast my page with enough like 10-inch penises that I'm suddenly going to start loving dick? Like, come on, just leave me alone. Like, when you're on a paywall, it just gives you clean quality content from the person that you signed up to see, your favorite creator, and only that creator. So there's no ads, there's no viruses, there's no disturbing unwanted content that spams you. And to me, that sounds like much more pleasurable. So,
I mean, who can argue that, really?
Look, I'm going to be devil's advocate here. You know me, I'm just going to get into it. But
we'd love to see it.
But there's, people who can't afford to pay these platforms. You know what I mean? There are just simply disadvantaged people or less fortunate people who can't necessarily pay for all these platforms. And also there's just a lot of platforms now to keep up with. We've got Netflix, we've got, I don't know what's in other parts of, here
Netflix.
we've Netflix and Hulu or what have you.
HBO, you've got like Disney, so many things.
What about these people who can't afford to pay? And is that limiting them from accessing pleasure? Because that's some people might think that's a valid argument.
Yeah, and it totally is. But my answer to that would be that this applies to everything in life. Like, you can't be fair to everybody. Like, you can try your best to be as fair as you possibly can within your own comfort zones and your own limitations, but you're going to have people who can afford it and people who simply can't afford it, and that's the reality of life. You will have people who prefer to pay for a monthly subscription, say on Netflix, in order to access quality ad-free TV shows, documentaries, and movies. But you're also going to have people who prefer to browse the web for free, stolen, or ripped TV shows and movies and documentaries, and are okay with putting up with the viruses and tasteless ads that come with free websites like that. So I think essentially it's up to the creator to decide what works best for them and what rate works best for them and their livelihoods. I mean, after all, we're the ones putting ourselves out there in our most vulnerable states for the world to watch.
Yep.
You know, we're people, we're not products. And I really think it's important to remember that our work is just as valid as any other type of work, service, or subscription.
Yep.
And, you know, at the end of the day, it's not our job to think about everyone's feelings and what they can or cannot afford. We have to do what works best for us, for, like I said, our comfort levels and for our own personal livelihoods, and especially for our safety too. There's a big safety aspect that goes into that as well that people tend to forget about, especially as women.
And I think, just going into this safety issue, you know, I think this is something that people don't, I suppose, fully understand about the work that you do.
Overlook it. Yeah.
Why? I mean, why though? Why do you think that's the case?
Being behind a paywall, when you're on a free site, your videos get passed around all over the web.
Yeah.
All these other free sites stream it directly and share it all on, like you'll upload it on one website, and then in a couple of weeks it'll be on 20 different websites. And if you have 100 videos on your profile, it's going to be all those 100 videos. Basically, you'll have 2,000 videos out there because it'll just gets passed around and spread. And
people try to benefit off of your own hard work. Like, this is
you're the one
content.
who made the video, and all these other websites are broadcasting it and getting the views and getting money off of it.
Yeah, and it's just not fair.
And we know our worth.
And we absolutely know our worth, and we know how much hard work goes into what we do, and we deserve to make a decent living off of it. So I think it just prevents a lot of issues, a lot of headaches.
Yeah.
It also taps into the shame, I think, that women have as well with being creators of the content, but also women consuming this content.
Well, you'd think that there's not a lot of women consuming it, but in our experience, we have way more women willing to pay and support content like ours than men. We have by far more women subscribed to us and supporting us. And speaking from personal experience, it's often men who don't understand paying for content or who have a problem with it. We don't want to sound like we're putting all men in the same box, because we do have men who've been subscribed to us for a long time and they truly appreciate our content and they've expressed it to us. But we've experienced it firsthand, and other content creators have had similar experiences in regards to like people having problems paying for their content. And it wasn't women that were complaining. I mean, it's unfortunate, but right now that's the reality that we're experiencing. And obviously we hope this changes as people become more aware and more educated on the realities of adult content creation. Mm-hmm. But there are definitely a lot of women paying for it. And so there's no need to feel some type of way about it, because it's becoming more common slowly. It is.
And I guess that says something about women as well, right? That we will actually support the people behind the camera, and that.
Yep, they do. Yeah.
I think women have, especially when it comes to like sexuality and like empowerment and stuff. I think when they see another woman expressing her own, sexuality in like a healthy way and feeling empowered from it, it also empowers them. And then they want to support that, because it's like, it kind of goes into like feminism as well. Like it taps into that a little bit, where it's like women supporting women, like they understand the struggle. They understand what it took for us to put ourselves in this situation. Like they understand the level of like vulnerability and like bravery that it takes for us to do what we do. And so they want to like encourage and support that, because as women, it's a totally different experience than men in the industry. It's totally different.
How is that, out of curiosity?
Well, there's a lot more at stake, like in terms of like just typical patriarchal bullshit, like our reputation and like, what people will say about us, the judgment, people's lack of education around like women, like women's sexuality and like women's pleasure. Like there's so much, there's a serious lack of education around. And there's a problem too, like we were discussing a little bit about that before we started recording, but like it's like no matter what you do as a woman, you're always going to get judged. You're always shamed. Like if you express your sexuality in a healthy way, all of a sudden people are shaming you for that. If you're asexual and you're and whatever, like you're going to get judged. Like, oh, people are going to shame you for that. When in reality, there's nothing wrong with either or, whether you're a very sexual person or you're someone that's not sexual at all, or whether you're very conservative or you're someone that's very open. There's no shame in either or, but it's for society, and especially in the from the patriarchal perspective, there's so much to be ashamed about in both aspects. Like it's like there's nothing that we can do that people can really agree with and like root for us, you know, like that's just the reality that women have to live with in their day-to-day lives, but let alone in the industry, you know, when it comes to sex work.
And I think and expanding upon, you know, women in the industry, I guess outsiders may perceive women getting into the industry as just simply, oh, it's quick and easy money, you know?
Oh, it's so not quick and easy money. I mean,
and it's not about that for us.
It's really not about that. It's not about that at all. You know, we have a purpose, we have a message. We want to create a movement, you know?
Yeah.
The money comes afterwards as like a nice bonus to what we do, but that's not what we're focusing on, you know? This is like, we're really passionate about what we do. We're passionate about the message that we're trying to deliver. There's a lot of love in our content, you know?
And I think that's why, you know, that goes to explain why you have predominantly women
paying
for your
definitely.
content.
It makes perfect sense. For sure.
Because, you know, I'm coming into this as the consumer, not that I would personally consume your content. I just feel like we're too close. But
it's okay. You friend zoned us.
Oh, she friend zoned us?
Friend zoned.
No way.
It's okay. It's okay.
Oh, how did I not hear about this?
we'll work through that.
You probably blocked it out.
Oh no.
She told us before, but you blocked it out. It's okay.
But look, you know, coming into this as a female consumer, you know, that's why I'm just so grateful to have a friendship with you guys, because, you know, I just feel that, you know, I learn as we, you know, have gotten to know each other more, you know, just learning about unlearning my own biases in this area. And look, I personally don't consume as much adult content as, say, I'm not sure, maybe some other people, but you know, just sort of touching upon my own experiences. You know, when I do want to consume adult content, I feel that I am sort of preconditioned to just go to Pornhub and you know, find free content there.
Yeah.
And I think it taps into, I suppose, this stigma that I have, and I'm sure that, you know, I'm not alone here, that a lot of women would have actually consuming this content. And I guess what I'm trying to ask you here is, how can we as the consumers, particularly female consumers, sort of break down our stigma towards consuming this content?
Yeah, I mean, the type of content that we make educates and empowers women in their sexuality, right? It educates and empowers women in their pleasure as well, and even in their romantic intimacies. And this is one of the reasons why we believe our content is more appealing to women, like you said. And once again, it boils back to feeling seen and represented, and offering content that feels relatable to women and to their own personal pleasure. And I think that we're in a historical time where we're seeing more and more awareness being built around the female sexuality and pleasure. Like more and more women are opening up about their sexuality and the type of content they enjoy. So, I mean, we personally think there's a positive movement and shift that's going on almost like at the moment. And there was definitely a time when women were made to feel ashamed of consuming adult content. They would, you know, feel dirty and like gross about doing it. But I think now things are taking a different direction, and we feel pretty optimistic about the way things are headed. And at the end of the day, like we firmly believe that more relatable, ethical, and quality adult content focused on female pleasure and geared towards the female gaze, and not only that, but all gazes in general, would truly help in making the consumption of adult content a lot less stigmatizing for women.
Yeah, because, you know, a lot of the free content that's out there, as you said, you know, predominantly produced by men, and it does have a certain gaze about it, to put it lightly. And I think in a way that degrades the woman, or I think objectifies the woman. And
most definitely.
Yeah.
And who wants to feel that when they're watching that? Like, as a woman, you know, who wants to see another woman get like thrown around and degraded and demeaned? Like, it's just, it doesn't make female consumers feel good and empowered about their sexuality, you know, like it totally sends off the wrong message, I think. And, you know, I personally believe that if adult content was more geared towards all gazes and not just the male gaze, like, I'm being fair here, like all gazes, I think a lot more women would feel a lot less shame consuming it, because it wouldn't be made to make them feel like shit, to put it lightly, you know what I mean?
Like dirty after you finish watching it.
You won't feel that dirty, gross feeling afterwards. You're going to feel empowered, and you're going to feel normal, and you're going to feel human. And I think that's really, really important. And I think that plays a huge role as to why, you know, when you look at those stats, you know, why much more men consume porn than women. Like, every single woman or like that I've ever spoken to, even in my own personal life, like, we all watch porn. Like, it's a natural, normal thing to do, you know, and we all do, but we all agree that good porn is so hard to find, you know, like, it's just, we all agree that it's just really, it's not welcoming for the female gaze. Like, it's really not welcoming. It's not made for us. So of course, you know, we're going to feel shame.
And just for free porn out there for everyone in general, a lot of that free porn is kind of a fraction of the real video. Like, you might not realize this, but when you're watching a video on, for like anywhere, for example, Pornhub, and it's a production company, they're showing you the short version. Whereas if you were to pay for their services or pay for their channel or subscribe to them, then you get the full video.
Which is like an hour long.
Which is like, yeah, exactly. Sometimes an hour long. But on the free websites, you only see 10, 15, maybe 20 minutes of it.
If you're lucky.
So that's not the whole video. It's just the free version.
Of course, they'll focus on like the male happy ending as well. And that's when the video ends or whatever.
If you are enjoying this episode, please support us by rating and reviewing this podcast, visiting our website, thequo.com.au, and following us on our socials using the handle @thequoAU. It's interesting as well, because personally speaking, when I've consumed adult content, I don't feel the overt or visceral sort of shame and disgust when I consume it, which I don't know if that makes it more disturbing, you know, that once you consume, it's like it's as if it's a subconscious sort of shame that we have. Yeah, just
like you mean like sometimes you just go there just to like just quickly get off and you just move on with your day.
Yeah,
you're not invested, right? It's just like,
yeah, but be careful. Not be careful, but I mean, it does have a very, very subtle, sneaky effect on our subconscious. Like, I remember growing up, like when I was much younger, and I would like surf the web for the first time, like porn for the first time, and I would see these like graphic freaking videos and visuals, and I would be like, whoa, like this is like over fucking whelming. Like, I did not think sex looked like that. I did not think it was so intense and so aggressive and so
loud,
so
rough,
so obnoxious. Like, what is this? Like, our penis is really that huge? Like, I don't like, this is scary. Like,
are boobs really that big? Or
I don't look like this. Like,
everything.
Why is she screaming like that? Is she in pain or is she actually enjoying herself? Like all these questions.
And then you think that you're supposed to do that too, and it's just like over time it messes with you.
It sneaks up on you over time. Like,
and I watched something on Goop where they talk about like the breathing. Remember where like women in porn, they're like like they're breathing like that, and it's like so exaggerated, and that actually puts your body in a state of shock, like anxiety and it's trying to survive because it thinks that you're making your body think that you're having trouble breathing, and it actually is not good for yours. Like, just generally you're putting your body into
yourself up.
You're tricking your body into thinking that it's in like a danger. So it's just like, just little, it's not natural.
Like and
it's
then
not natural.
Your breathing kind of tricks your body into tensing up, and then you tense up, and then sex is more painful because we all know that when you tense up, it's like things don't flow as well, and it's just you don't get lubricated enough, and you start to get in your head, and it's just like, it's crazy. Like, the negative effects can really sneak up on you. And like,
when you're masturbating by yourself, you don't go like come on, like it's just not natural.
Get a drink of water. That's what I would say in those situations.
So it's just not realistic.
To just expand upon what you were saying just then, I think as women, when we're sort of engaging in sexual relations as well, with that sort of background knowledge of consuming this free content, right, that we come into new sexual encounters and scenarios with this sort of image or this expectation that to perform in that same way, with that other person or people. Not to mention, I think, I wonder whether that affects the way we look at sexual relations and encounters with people, be it, casual or intimate, whether that has an influence in the way that we use sex as a means, like, for romantic or external validation. Do you know where I'm getting at with that? Like,
oh yeah, most definitely. It's like you almost feel like you need to put on an act, like,
especially it's almost like casual encounters.
It becomes a performance as opposed to like a natural instinctual connection with another person.
But look, I just want to get into, because with all this in mind, I mean, this is, and as you said before, this is what really prompted you to actually start creating authentic content for our community, which, is amazing. Can I just say that this is actually something of a passion to you guys?
Yeah.
So can you tell me a little bit more about your journey sort of leading up to sort of thinking about and stewing over the idea of starting to create your own channel, and can you just tell us a little bit more about that journey?
Pretty much like when we started, we were on Pornhub, and we were only on Pornhub in the beginning. We started to create content and stuff like that. And at first it was kind of like, well, we're having a really hard time finding content that we personally enjoy. So I mean, we're a real couple. We love sex. I have some knowledge on filming and editing, so why don't we put something together? Like,
see what happens.
Why don't we just record ourselves and put it out there and see what happens? Like, I mean, there is a serious lack of it, and so let's bring it onto the website and see how people respond. And the response was just amazing. incredible. Like within the first month, we had over like 1 million views, and it just grew from there, like at an insane speed. And so that kind of like made us, we thought we were going to just do this for a little bit and just move on with our lives and just whatnot. But then we were like, holy shit, this is people need this. Like, this is
They
so
were
much.
telling us they needed. They were freaking out.
They were like, oh my God, thank the Lord you guys came about. Like, I could never find anything that made any sense for me. Like, please don't ever leave. Like, oh my God, thank you so much for what you're creating and all that. So the response and feedback was incredibly powerful and positive. And we were like, you know what? Like, this feels really good, and this is real, this is authentic, this is absolutely beautiful and totally aligned with our values and us as a couple and as people. So let's keep doing it. And like, let's keep doing it. Let's just see where it goes. Let's embark on that journey and see where it takes us. But so yeah, we were doing that for a while on Pornhub, and then after a little while though, we got kind of fed up because, like we were talking to before, there's a lot of issues and headaches that come about when you offer your content for free. Just people take advantage of it, and as women, we were just dealing with all sorts of like headaches and stuff, so we got fed up. So we decided to take a different route. We decided to only feature teasers of our videos on Pornhub, and then go behind a paywall for our full-length videos in order to avoid all of that headache, and also make a better living off of that, of course, but also like gain so many more benefits, like just peace of mind and a quality consumers, and just more control over our content and stuff like that. Like, so many reasons, so we went behind a paywall. We went behind OnlyFans at first, and then with time we also decided to diversify and go feature our content also on Fansly and on Loyal Fans. So our biggest platform is OnlyFans right now, for sure. And we use Pornhub just as a way to let people know that we exist and where to find us, basically.
Look, I'm sure a lot of people, let's get down to the nitty gritty, because I'm sure people will be curious about this. It's sort of like, we look at YouTube influencers and we wonder how much money they make, from views on their videos. But yeah, look, how much do you get paid on Pornhub?
It's roughly about 60 cents per 1,000 views.
I think it's a bit more now.
It might have been a bit more, might be a bit less. I don't know what's going on with the credit card situation, but fans also have like the option of like tipping, which was like really helpful for us when we were on there. And you can buy videos, but they take a cut of 20 to 30% depending on what it is. Like, I think for custom videos, it's 30%. So for you to be making a decent living on there, you have to have an insane amount of views or do a lot of custom videos or something along the lines of that, which is why we mentioned earlier that it's like having a lot of views is like an illusion. Like, you're not making a lot of money, to be honest. The reality is different.
And people just don't know that, getting a little bit more technical, because if you sort of balance how much you get paid on Pornhub versus how much money and resources it takes to actually produce these videos, would you say that it was worth it?
Absolutely not.
No.
Absolutely not. It's not enough to make a decent living.
And
it's really, it doesn't match the level of hard work and all the level of hard work and quality that we put into our content, for sure.
And we're two people, right? So
yeah, people forget about that too. This is one income for two people. So it's like, it's not a lot. At first we had our own jobs like on the side to sustain us while doing that. Because it just wasn't enough.
This is the name of the game, isn't it? This is where at least you and I can relate, when you're trying to transition to this work. And people, I think, tend to forget just the amount creative pursuits. I think people fail to realize sometimes just how consuming it is. It takes a lot of time. And when you're trying to, produce high quality content whilst trying to maintain a job to pay the rent, I think this is something that people just don't fully realize.
Yeah, absolutely. And we were considered creators that are very successful on Pornhub. Like we were on the awards in 2020. Like we had multiple award nominations, and for personal reasons we asked them not to feature us in the awards at the time, but we had multiple award nominations for our content. And like, to be honest, like the amount of the financial remuneration, how do you say that word?
Remuneration.
Yeah. That we made from that is not reflective of award nominated content. Like it just does not reflect it.
Yeah. So that's why OnlyFans changes the game.
Yeah. OnlyFans and like all paywalls, like this is where we really started to like, make a decent living off of our work, for sure. And, deservingly so.
You moved to OnlyFans, to, let's say, preserve the integrity of your content. How has that experience been, and how has your experience been different on OnlyFans by comparison to Pornhub?
So it's really different. Being behind a paywall, like OnlyFans gives you control over what rate you set for someone to access your content. They do take a cut off of everything, like the subscribers, the tips, but so you need to factor that into your price, but at least what you're going to make, because it's really clear. You set the price and you see how many subscribers you have that month, and every time you get a subscriber, you see it reflect in the earnings right away. Whereas with free platforms, I don't know how all of them work, but your view count does keep growing, and yes, your earnings are growing slowly, very slowly, and they show every day, but it's just not as clear and it's hard to track. So you kind of just have to trust their calculations. Whereas with like OnlyFans, it's like it's being calculated for you, but it makes sense. It's really clear. It makes sense. And you see it.
You can do your own math and just, know exactly what you're going to make, like you're in charge of marketing yourself and finding creative ways to let people know that you exist and that your content is worth paying for. Yeah. Like this is all technically free labor, right? Like, but it's worthwhile. It's definitely a worthwhile investment in yourself as a creator, and it could really pay off once you build enough exposure and a solid subscriber base.
And distinguishing yourself from similar creators, so to speak.
Yeah, which is why we use Pornhub as a way to just give people a little glimpse of like what we're about and where they can find us, so that they can see like the extended version of our work and everything that we create.
I remember when we were having a chat about this one time, and I think transitioning to OnlyFans seems to have worked out for you, because didn't you say that you're in the like top 10 or 1% of OnlyFans creators as a result?
Yeah, 0.15%. No, I mean, it's been great, but I think Pornhub helps a lot to let people know, like we create like really like nice teasers, like gives them a really good idea of what we're about and the quality of our content, and like a little bit about the approach that we take in our content creation and who we are as people. So it's been really helpful in guiding traffic to OnlyFans in that sense. But I think like we're really lucky because we've gotten to a point where Jellyfield Girl, like people know, especially queer people.
It's a lot of word of mouth.
Yeah, a lot of word of mouth. Like a lot of people know who we are, especially in the community. Like in the straight world, maybe not, but in the queer community, more often than not, if you say Jellyfield Girls, like people will know. But it's who we are, because we're not, there's not many of us out there. So.
Yeah.
But it's interesting that you said that you also have straight women also consuming your content.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Straight couples. Lots of couples too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like what draws them to your content, do you think?
Well, no one's 100% straight,
Let's not get into that, man.
That's for another episode.
Yeah, and a whole other episode for that, a whole season even. But honestly, like we've had men even tell us that they are so grateful that they came across our content because they are now able to properly educate their partner on like sexually,
please their partner.
Please their partner like
Mhm.
sexually, and like fulfill them, and they understand like how to work around a woman's body like so much more, and they're just like, oh my God, like I had no idea that sex was like that a woman's pleasure is like so much more than like I've never seen women's pleasure displayed like this before. Like
your partner is not a porn star. She doesn't want to be fucked like a porn star, you know, like you kind of gotta be more realistic.
Yeah, it's just they've just been saying like you like expanded
experiences, knowledge.
Like
they've tried new things. They've like
and sensitivity towards the female pleasure. Hats off to those men, by the way. Shout out to you men out there.
100%. Hats off to these guys. They're like, they're great. And like I'm so happy when they message us and saying like, thank you so much. Like because of you, I can pleasure my wife or my partner so much more. Or because of you, like we're not filing for divorce anymore. Like we worked through our sexual blockages and like our, we were able to regain our sex lives back, and like it's just so wonderful. I think we give a lot of straight couples ideas, like a lot of different ideas, because straight sex, the way that it's displayed on porn, like we all know, it's very basic. It's what do you got blowjob, if you're lucky you got cunnilingus and then if you're lucky and you've got if you're lucky as well, you get a little bit of fingering, but then mainly intercourse, and then cum shot. That's it. Video's done. So it's kind of like that's like what they know of, and then they look at our videos and they're like, whoa, like sex is so much more than just that. There's like so much more that you can do with your partner. Like, I mean, everything that we do to each other, almost everything that we do to each other, a man is perfectly capable to do with his wife, you know what I mean, or with his partner. So it's kind of like really expanding their knowledge in that department, like in a way that they've never seen before.
And of course their partners are interested too, and they're happy and satisfied, so of course they're into it,
because it's not just all about penetration. This is sort of the misconception that unfortunately perhaps a lot of men do have. We're so lucky to have just so many different bits about us.
And also one more thing though I think is really important that I forgot to mention is relating to that exact question is I think couples really enjoy watching us because they can really see and feel the intimacy and the love between us, and they can relate to that. Like our videos is really not about, I mean, for the listeners that have never seen us before, like our videos, yes, it's sexy, it's kinky, of course there's like kinky aspects to it, of course, but the thing that really shocks people about our videos is there's so much love. Like there's so many acts of love and tenderness and respect and communication in our videos that I think a lot of couples can benefit from when they watch us, and they can relate to that and they can really learn from as well. So I think just seeing a real couple being genuinely intimate and loving and passionate and tender towards one another is a beautiful thing to share with your partner.
And they even like to follow us on Instagram and Twitter because it's not just about sex, like our intimacy and our love. It starts like in the morning when you wake up, like it's the cute things that we do for each other, and we share a little glimpse of that every once in a while. And like that transcends into the beautiful relationship that we have and the beautiful love that we make and the passion that you see in our videos. It's kind of like,
it's a piece of us.
And I guess if there's any advice that you can impart in this episode, what advice can you impart to people on how to be more intimate with their partners?
Watch our videos and take notes. Have a pen and a notepad nearby.
and kind of like just to retouch like what I was just saying, like sex isn't just in the bedroom, and it's not just sex, like a lot of women are more like mental, and you gotta kind of like, you gotta treat your women right, you know?
Yeah.
You gotta take good care of them. You gotta, you know, just do nice things for each other and kind of like build the intimacy up like throughout like the day or the week, or, you know, and then that'll make your sex 10 times better. That's a good tip.
100% beautiful tip. And I will add to that communication, like freaking communicate,
communication.
speak up about what you like and what you don't like. And there's, I don't know why, well, I do get it. I get why people can be reserved about that, but there are so many ways to make it sexy. Like communication can be so sexy in bed. And I think that's one thing that we display in our videos quite well, is like, she'll be doing something to me and I'll just be like, okay, right there, you're on it, like keep going, you know, like, or it's like a little gentler, or like, can you go a little faster, can you go a little slower? And you never see that in porn videos. You never see that level of communication between the two people, regardless if they're a man or a woman or whatever. Like it can be done in such a sexy way, and I think it's one of the most important things in just not just in your relationship, but in your sex life as well. That's my biggest advice, is communicate and find ways to make the communication sexy in a way that makes you feel good about it, in a way that makes you feel empowered, you know,
and in a way that builds the, you know, trust and security.
Oh yeah,
yes,
100%, and the connection and everything.
Like maybe if you find it difficult for you to express yourself with your partner in bed and communicate what you want, maybe you can practice it maybe through text, like that day, be like, okay, tonight, this is what I would like this, and this, and kind of like ask in advance, or kind of give a heads up of what you really want on that day. This is what you're feeling. This is, you know, maybe I don't want penetration today. I want this, and this, you know.
100%.
Like if you're shy, you can maybe communicate it like in different ways, you know.
It doesn't just have to be during sex as well. Like you can discuss afterwards. Like you can totally have a talk with your partner and just be like, so like, tell me what you thought. Like, was there anything that I did that like really stood out to you that you want me to do again? Is there something that maybe you can skip, like that if you had a choice, you can like skip over, you know, like there are so many ways to like communicate and really get to know your partner's body and their pleasure on a much deeper level, in a way that makes you closer and builds the trust, like you said.
Yeah.
Going back to your content, you know, so you've got your teasers on Pornhub, and you have your long form content on OnlyFans, and also Fansly and Loyal Fans, you said. But how has,
you got it.
Yeah, like how has putting your long form content on these subscriber platforms changed the quality of your content?
Oh, it's better in so many ways. Like on Pornhub, we had to keep in mind the algorithm and a much larger, broader audience, of course. You basically post a video with a title, and whoever finds it. If you're lucky, they might give you a thumbs up or a comment, but it pretty much ends there. Whereas on OnlyFans, you have so much more freedom, and it's a much more intimate, personal space for the creator and for subscribers too, I would say. And it allows you to express, well, I'm going to speak for myself, but it allows us to express our creativity in so many different ways. Like, depending on who you subscribe to, your OnlyFans experience can be completely different from one creator to another, which is really nice. It makes every subscription very unique on its own. We've posted much longer videos on OnlyFans. Like we've posted audio only content even on OnlyFans, like erotic ASMR style content. We've posted exclusive photo albums, collaborations, stories, fun polls, and so much more.
Fun polls? What's that?
Polls, like
to get feedback. Like,
yeah,
you can get feedback on OnlyFans, whereas you can't do that on the free platforms. You know, like we'll ask a question. We'll kind of throw up some ideas, and then do a poll and get feedback, and then we can gear our content kind of based on that. So it's a lot more fan engaging.
Yeah, for sure. And it's all like, it's got so many fun features that are not available on free adult websites, you know.
All that being said, how does paying for adult content empower us as the viewers and the consumers?
I think by knowing that you as a viewer are allowing the creator to make a decent living through your support, it motivates the creator to continue to create and through that direct support. And the consumer and the subscriber, like, even though they might not know it, they're making a big difference in our lives, and they might not know it, but they definitely are. They're allowing us, like, we've mentioned it before, but they're allowing us, like, to make a decent living and pay our bills and pay our taxes and and put a roof over our head and everything, like, just like we know we deserve. So it's, I mean, I for me, that's very empowering to be able, through my support, allow someone else to live a decent life. To me, that means everything. Yeah, it's just a human thing to do to another human.
How is your content changing the way that we see adult content?
I think the fact that we are a real couple in love, and we're displaying our real intimacy and real sex through high quality videos, it kind of makes the viewer wonder, like, why watch mainstream scripted productions that either aren't relatable or realistic or that degrade women? Like, I think our content is, because it's really well done and it's really authentic and it's really, there's a lot of love and passion in it. I think it's opening up people's minds about who they should support and what they should consume. I think it's a really, really important seed planting, I should say, that we're doing right now. We're just planting little seeds in people's heads and making them re-question or reevaluate their choices and what they choose to what they consume, basically. Like, is it really worth it to go support mainstream productions that are gearing their content for a totally different audience than me? Like, is it worth it, or should I just go for the couple that is independent, that is working for themselves, that is producing very high quality content in the most beautiful, ethical way possible? Like, it just raises a lot of important questions in people's minds. And I think that's always the start of a big movement or a big change, or a shift, I should say. And also the fact that we do a lot of other stuff besides adult content. Like, I don't think we've mentioned this yet, but we do, like, for example, this podcast, I'm sure is going to, like, really open up a lot of minds about, people like us and what we do and whatnot. We do podcasts, we do collaborations with other influencers and public figures. We hopped on conferences. We were even in the Harvard conference, like, last year, in an academic sphere, like, talking about, what we do and whatnot, which is huge. It's absolutely huge. And we use our socials to educate and talk about topics that we're really passionate about, such as, of course, sex education, LGBTQ plus topics, and romantic relationships and stuff like that. So our content is not just limited to adult content. This is truly what we're passionate about, but we also host other content that is playing a big role in paving the way forward, I should say.
It's also, highlighting and raising awareness just more broadly about how we can all be accountable for what we consume. Because, society, I think, just in my personal opinion, COVID, this pandemic, has made us seriously rethink. I remember when we were talking about this before we, recorded this, but it has made us seriously rethink our relationship with, I guess, I'm just going to go here, capitalism, I suppose, because, capitalism is geared towards excess. And sometimes in the pursuit of excess, we forget about, how we can hold ourselves accountable in consuming what we consume.
Absolutely.
It's also our fans that are helping do that, because as we were saying earlier, the fact that, like, the majority of our fan base is women subscribe to us, that they talk to their friends or coworkers or this and that about how they're subscribed to our content and they're proud of it. So it has like a ripple effect. And so it's like our fans are also paving the way, and the community
making more
Absolutely.
responsible and ethical decisions.
Yeah, they're kind of encouraging the conversation, you know, through like talking to people about it, like one person at a time, like one woman at a time. Like I think it's little acts like this that are really gonna make a big difference in the long term. It would help if like more big creators can share a little bit more about like their values, their beliefs, their real life interests, or even like a deeper sense of purpose in their lives. Like, I think the world needs to see that people like us in the industry are also smart and funny and intellectual and educated and respectable and just fucking awesome. Like, we're not dirty people just trying to turn you on and take your money. Like, we're really, you know, we're not filthy, we're not uneducated, we're classy, and we do exactly what everybody does behind closed doors, except we enjoy sharing it and we're comfortable sharing it and we're educating through sharing it. So I hope that more people like us are going to open up a little bit more about who they are as human beings, so that it can kind of add a little bit more humanity to people like us, especially women like us in the industry. We're shrunk down to nothing. Like usually as soon as you say I'm a sex worker, you get that look, or you're just like, people they just paint a picture of you that is so not you, based on everything they've learned in their lives about sex work and porn and all that, when it's so not like that, you know.
That's beautiful, ladies. You're beautiful. Both of you are just so beautiful. I'm just like, you know, if only the world could just have more humanity, right?
Yeah,
yes, that's absolutely what it needs right now.
That's what it really is lacking right now.
What are your plans moving forward? Like, what other things have you got on the horizon?
Well, we actually just started working with, I'm not sure if you've heard of the website Wet for Her.
No,
so
it's new.
Well, it's mainly for sex toys.
Oh, okay.
But it's a great website, and it's actually run by LGBTQ, like an LGBTQ team, and their toys and what they have on the website is great. Like, they have a section just for lesbian sex toys, which you don't see that often, even called that like on other websites, you know, but this, like, it's specifically lesbian sex toys. So there's a lot of great stuff on there. So we're working with them, and we can't wait to try out all the toys they sent us. So we're gonna get into that, but we have a code JFG if anyone wants to check out the website and see what they're missing or what new things are coming out.
They get a little discount if they use the code JFG on their website.
So that's one thing that we're doing right now.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I'm like a big I'm a pretty big thinker. Not big thinker, but
yes, you were
big. Yeah, okay, I'm a big thinker. Who am I kidding? But basically, I would love to have JFG turn into like a professional production one day. That would be something that I would be super down for. I would love to have like an LGBTQ, like a very small LGBTQ team with us, kind of helping us elevate our content even more, because we're kind of limited. It's literally just me and Alessia. Like we're running everything together, from like marketing ourselves to shooting ourselves to editing ourselves to everything. Everything is all just me and her. And it would be really nice to have like a team kind of elevate our content and have like a production team, like maybe a camera woman or like an assistant editor or something like that, you know. Like, obviously it would still be directed by us, because the most important thing for us is for our content to remain authentic and real. But it would be really nice to get like a professional team involved and really like to really help elevate our content even more. And who knows, maybe down the line, like we'll
shoot other people.
We'll stop being in front of the camera, and we'll be more in the back and behind the camera and shooting other people and all types of other people. It would be really great, and we would love to direct that. we would love to put the spotlight on other people and allow other people a chance to shine as well. So that's kind of like how my vision of the future, or what I guess I would,
a documentary,
what I would hope would happen in the future. Or yeah, just be featured in a documentary would be really awesome. Like, or even create our own documentary about like our journey, or something along those lines. I think there's a lot of stuff on the horizon, really exciting stuff on the horizon that we would definitely be into. But I think when the time comes, we'll get a little nudge from the universe and we'll know when it's going to be time to move on to the next big thing. It's really exciting.
Yeah.
Sasha and Alessia, two very beautiful ladies that I've been very honored to, just very honored to have this friendship with you. And it's not even friendship, like just affinity with you guys. I really appreciate it.
Likewise, we freaking love you.
Love
Thank
you
you so
too.
much. Thank you so much for having us back. Like we love working with you. It's a breath of fresh air every time.
It is.
Thank you very much for joining today.